Yes, people, welcome back to Albert JTV meets Hollie's Hotspurs. Show number it should be number 6 or 7. It's one of them. It is one of them. But before we get into it, people, let's smash the intro. England are in the final. We'll get into it after the break. And there you have it, people. Surround intro. England are in the final. Come on, England. We've almost conquered, but England are in the final, people. Like I said, we're going live on Albert JTV and Hollie's Hotspurs. So smash a like. We are live on not Facebook. We're live on YouTube and obviously on the Twitter / X feed, whatever way you want to call it. It doesn't really matter because they still do the same thing anyways. But there you go. But England are in the final. Co-host Hollie, how you feeling?
Oh, I'm buzzing, man. So, and I'm just saying, what was my prediction? England were going to win it. So I'm just saying, you all called me crazy.
Hold on a minute, because you weren't that confident about two games ago.
No, but we shush. I'm Southgate now and all that.
Right, Hollie, do not start a riot. Like I said, people, obliterate the like button for Albert JTV and Hollie's Hotspurs. You can even subscribe to Hollie if you really want to. It's in the title as well. Highlighted in royal blue. Before we get into it, we've got an amazing guest. I call this man Lord Astbury. I don't even call him by his first name. Lord Astbury, the legend of the Midlands. He is bringing the main man is. So Dave Astbury will join us with review. Bring him in, Hollie. Oh, she's frozen. Oh no, I'll bring you in, Dave. Oh.
Can I just say, you two naughty people, I'm as good a reason for abolishing the House of Lords as you're ever going to get, really. Let's just put it like that, Lord Astbury. I mean, I've got the chins for it, but not much else, I don't think. It's absolutely lovely to see you both. When you said I'd frozen, I was quite nervous, Albert, to be honest, but there you go.
No, you didn't froze. It was Hollie froze. I was like, oh, God.
Oh, right, okay.
My bad.
That's right. It must be that, anyway. It must be that Wi-Fi and in Portsmouth, I think it is. Maybe
it must be.
But yes, England are in the final, man. I've watched England a long time, Hollie, before we sort of get Dave's opinions about what happened yesterday and the tournament and Southgate and the young Clarence Seedorf in Kobe Mayanu. I said it. I'm an Arsenal fan, by the way. I said that. I'm not a United fan, but yeah, I'd seen a lot of football, and I've never seen England reach the final in my lifetime until a few years ago. Back-to-back European Championship finals. First final out of the English shores, Hollie. What are you saying?
Happy days, man. No, I'm excited. I think without going too much into it, because that's what we're going to do tonight. It was a little bit refreshing at the start. Then it went a little bit dippy to what we've been watching the whole kind of tournament. And obviously a moment of brilliance that seems to keep popping up in these games late on. And I'm here for it. As much as it stresses me out, it all adds to the excitement of the game.
No, well said. Let's bring in Dave, actually. Dave, we'll go straight to the game. Gareth is obviously, I think if you've watched England long enough now, Gareth Southgate in charge, he doesn't really make drastic changes. And to be honest with you, going into yesterday's game, I didn't expect him to. I thought Mark Gay would come back in. By the way, Ezri Konsa did brilliant in the last game against Switzerland.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Dave, your thoughts on that, and obviously your thoughts going into the semi-final against the Netherlands yesterday?
I'm always wary, Albert. I don't believe in hyperbole. I don't believe in setting to what I consider unrealistic expectations. Anybody would listen to me. I said we'd be out at the group stage. Hey, I got a bonus. Then I thought we'd be knocked out by Slovakia. Hey, got a bonus. And then Switzerland playing really, really well. Lots of people talking about them. Most people sort of down on England. Out into the semi-final. I thought the Netherlands would become, coming into some kind of form. Gakpo looked sharp. Xavi Simons looked sharp. They looked as though they were more coherent as a unit. And we were in the semi-final. So I am going to say that Spain are going to win massively. They only have to turn up, put their kit on, get on the bus and get out into the dressing room. But you know what? joking aside, in all of this, my touchstone, if you like, for what has gone on these last few years, my starting point is that truly dire, humiliating evening against Iceland in 2016.
Yeah.
Truly the worst result, the worst night ever to be an England football fan, in my view. We've had some bad ones. I remember I go back to Poland in 1973 when we failed to qualify for the World Cup. And that was Sir Alf Ramsey. Yeah. I remember, not failing to qualify in 78. I mean, having lost to Italy in the group stage. I remember a lot of these things. I remember the litany of really average managers that we've had. And that night when we lost to Iceland and Harry Kane was taking corners and the whole thing was an utter shambles. I don't think I've ever been so angry after a football match. And if somebody had said to me that night after that game against Iceland, that England in the next 6 years would go to 2 finals, a semi-final and a quarter-final, I'd have suspected the use of hallucinogens, to be honest. So that is in the round, and that is to me where I look at Gareth Southgate, which is not a popular view because it seems to me the vast majority almost enjoy abusing and trolling this thoroughly dignified and decent man, in my view. Every time I see Gareth, I just think he's class and composure. He's not perfect. He makes mistakes. We all do. But as regards to the match last night, it's just, they are the most fascinating team in this tournament by a mile, England, because they seem like they're making it up as they go along. And, I've laughed my head off doing this tournament. Aren't Germany marvellous? See ya. Aren't Austria fantastic, playing like a club side? Bye. Switzerland, great pressing. Bye. Georgia, entertaining and open.
Yeah.
Bye. Portugal, fantastic depth of squad. Bye. And as all of these much talked about hyped teams have disappeared, our lot are bimbling along, doing things on the hoof, throwing in moments of unbelievable, quality, and they're in the final. And the way I look at it, going into the final, we all know about Spain. Yeah. Everything about Spain is there. All the evidence is there. We've been presented with the whole case about Spain. The case for England, I don't think they know. I don't know. We don't know. And best of all, Spain don't know. And especially as overwhelming favourites, which is what Spain are, and actually deserve to be, the team that aren't the favourite. I mean, England were favourites against Italy 3 years ago, and that worried me. And Italy took advantage of that. England are in that position now. Like, no, when all the logicians get together, they'll say Spain win this match. And it makes me think. I mean, last night I thought the first half was clearly the best in the tournament.
By a mile. Yeah.
Yeah, I think really this is England. It's what makes them so fascinating. They've only really got anywhere close. And I wouldn't say they've actually reached that level. They've only got close in the first half an hour against Serbia, bits of the first half against Switzerland, and that first half last night. Now, Spain have been at their best. Netherlands, to get their name right. The last 2 games have really got to a good level. England are unbeaten in 6 games in a final. We don't know really where the ceiling is. And I just think they're utterly fascinating. But the resilience, the strength of character to rally from a goal behind. And they've been in some tight spots. And I've heard it said today, and you just get a sense that certain things are meant to be and maybe written in the runes and in the stars, and you just never know. I mean, I kind of also think of Greece against Portugal in 2004. Portugal were home and host, we thought. France in 2016 on home soil, home and host, so we thought. Portugal, who'd been utterly drab in the group stages and hadn't really caught anybody's attention, ended up winning it. And you know, England. Yeah.
Now, Dave, you make a good point. I'm going to come to Hollie. Hollie, obviously, you're the young kindred spirit of this paddle. So
I'm a relic.
Dave, you're a young relic. That's what you are, mate. But no, you know what it is. Dave, make a good point, because I remember Euro 2004. That was Greece didn't have like any sort of standout players. A very functional side with a very wily manager in Otto Renga. If I got that right, Dave. I mean, some of the football Portugal in 2016 was turgid.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't even win a game in the group.
No.
It is strange of England this tournament, Dave. It's a good point. I'll come to you, Hollie. It's you've had everything. We've had a penalty shootout. We've had extra time. We've had 2 last-minute goals. We've had clean sheets. We've had some dreadful football. Our defense has looked solid enough. There's a couple of occasions that did worry me a little bit yesterday. Probably more from my experienced players, to be honest with you. But so, what did you make of that first half, Hollie? Because it was obviously, that Dave mentioned, little bit better than what we've seen in the previous 5 games.
It was a little bit more refreshing, but I think that's because he decided to play Foden where Foden should play. He's actually played him down the middle, which we've all kind of been screaming out for, and he was so bright yesterday. And I think it just winds me up that we've seen him all tournament have to kind of occupy spaces that aren't really best suited to him. And when you do play him where he needs to play, he goes and, I mean, that shot that he had, well, as soon as he opened up and had it, I was like, oh my God, it's like a Yamal goal for Spain. The way he hit it, and I was like, oh, it's so
Great
close.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the thing for me. I think we finally stepped up a gear. I mean, we've been in first gear the whole time. We've now gone into second gear, but maybe in the final we'll go into third and maybe excite ourselves a little bit. But no, the first half was definitely refreshing, and it kind of dipped into the same old. But Dave, I want to come to you because obviously, again, it was slightly different from the previous games because we've gone a goal behind and we seem to come back. But were you a little bit worried that it was so early on that the Netherlands got that goal? Was it? I think it was like 7 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, truth be told, Hollie, I didn't have a chance to worry because I'd been at work, left work at 8 o'clock. So I had to drive about 15 minutes to where I live. So I literally came in the door, turned the telly on, and Harry Kane was standing there waiting to take his penalty. So I never had the chance to take it in. I went, oh, blimey, we're a goal behind. And then I had to consult my phone. I mean, when I saw the goal later on, an amazing goal by Xavi Simons. I mean, people say Declan didn't do this, Declan didn't do that. But, I give credit to Xavi Simons, who went and got the ball, and people always seem to kind of, in those situations, the guy who makes the mistake is the one we talk about. I'd rather talk about Xavi Simons played well and Declan just got done with it. You know what I mean? The interesting point, Hollie talks about Phil Foden. And I thought last night, as Phil Foden was doing what Phil Foden does for City and what we wanted him to do more consistently during this tournament, my eye was drawn to Jude, because I got the impression whether Gareth Southgate had said to him or Jude had taken it upon himself to say, tell you what, I'm going to get out of your way, Phil, and let you play. And Jude seemed to me like picking up the ball out, wide on the left and coming inside. It seemed to me, I don't know if it was conscious, but I just watching the rhythms of the game. And it just seemed to me that Jude decided to say, well, you know what, mate, I stole your limelight and your territory in earlier matches. I'm going to let you have it. And I think, I just got the impression, and I get, Jude's a great character. He's growing. He's obviously, he's taken on this mantle of superstar that he's kind of acquired through Dortmund and, Birmingham City to a certain extent, but Dortmund and Real Madrid. And I just got the impression from Jude, he said, right, for the good of the team, I'm going to let Phil express himself. And Phil was fantastic. He wasn't the only person who was fantastic, because there's some kind of preternatural, unbelievably wise teenager in there that is blowing my mind. I mean, so what, Phil was doing his stuff, and it's almost like Jude said, I'll flit around the periphery and let Phil go and play his game, and it'll help Cobby as well. And, all the talk, quite rightly, because he's earned it, has been about Lamine Yamal. But there's another teenager I think has been absolutely magnificent. I mean, he's like an asteroid. He's come from nowhere for Manchester United to England. And I just think the Clarence Seedorf reference, Albert, is a really good one, because he's kind of quite physically redolent of Clarence Seedorf. And he uses the ball in the same kind of way. He's passing, his awareness of space, his awareness of teammates is almost, it's a gift, clearly, but it's like a supernatural gift. And I think, fascinating on Sunday night, you're going to have what I consider to be the two best teenage footballers in the world on either side. I mean, Cobby's ability to kind of just,
brilliant.
He's got what I marvel at him. In fact, I marvel at most of them. Phil Foden, I think Jude, Bukayo, all of these lads, they've got this incredible ability to kind of play what's around them and not be bothered about, if you like, the surroundings, the physical surroundings and the sort of the psychological surroundings, right? And I just think that they're amazing. But Kobe in particular just seems to, I'll just get the ball, I'll play a pass, I'll go and win it back. And then what he does, I think because he's a boy and he's still growing into, he's growing into his body, he's growing into his mind, he's growing into his team. He just has moments where you think, I tell you what, I'm just going to try something here. And I think he's been in a less sort of spectacular way than Lamine Yamal. It's been fantastic. So yeah, I just thought the sort of chemistry, if you like, in midfield last night, certainly first half, was fantastic. And I always feel sorry, as a general rule in football, for teams who are in a great rhythm and playing brilliantly, that they have to put up with the irritation and the nuisance of half time, because it stops you and you have to go and regather the rhythm and the momentum. And England didn't quite do that, but then they showed the other side of their game, if you like. So it was a fascinating match. I mean, the Dutch played really well. So, fair play to Ronald Koeman. He made some good changes. I did think they missed Marlon and Depay when they both went off. But you stick the big man on up front, and all of the dimensions and the parameters change again. So fascinating game of football, as actually in many ways all of the England games up, even the Denmark and Slovenia game, which was just like torturous, but there were always interesting things going on. So yeah, it was fascinating really last night.
Oh, great stuff. Now I'm glad you brought up Kobe Mainoo. I thought he got. I know I checked on Twitter that he do the sort of the player of the match, and he got it. And rightly so, to be honest with you. I know Watkins got it with getting the goal yesterday through is it UEFA or whether it was.
Yeah.
Kobe Mainoo was brilliant. You're right, David. The way he just makes space and his awareness. I think he sidestepped one of their midfield players. I think the midfield players were trying to find it from yesterday.
Yeah.
It really hit the combination play between him and Phil Foden yesterday in that first half.
Outstanding.
Exceptional. And obviously not forgetting my guy, Bukayo Saka as well. Just a little bit.
Oh, what a lovely lad. I love that lad. I mean, to be honest, I love them all. I think they're all really good guys. People will say, oh, you've got to be more critical and you've got to pick holes in them and find the best. And I just think they're a good bunch of young men. And I ran a football team for 17 years, a fantastic bunch of lads who played for me, when I was down living in Bournemouth. And any time we played averagely and found a way to win, I was ecstatic. Every time we played really, really well, should have put an opponent away and didn't, I was incandescent with rage. If I was a German fan, I'd be really angry. You played all that good football. You showed us Florian Wirtz and Jamal Musiala, and you're out. Same with Austria, played fantastic, high pressing football, like a club team. Same with Switzerland, gone. All these teams that have played well and have garnered column inches and gone. Don't do me a favour, get and win the thing. I mean, the thing is now England have sort of gone at a relatively shallow slope, but now they've got to get the crampons up. They've got to go up the face of the Eiger, because this lot on Sunday they've got the spirits are with them. The wind is in their sails. They're a good side. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, well said. So, Hollie, coming to you quickly. It's a shame. I thought England did enough in the first half to at least shade it and at least go in 2-1. Created some good opportunities. I think the Luke Shaw thing, obviously he came on at half time, but you saw the difference he made when he came on. But there's times we got down sort of their right hand side, but obviously Trippier's cutting back onto his right hand side and to cross the ball into the box. And it's Foden really good in the first half, man. Like I said, Kobe Mainoo and Saka, and I like Bellingham was really good, really busy, trying to take players on, trying to make things happen, which he likes to do. He likes to take that responsibility. But listen, England got a penalty to go 1-1, Hollie. Now, I don't even know why I'm even asking you this question, because you was messaging me during the game. I was thinking, I was debating with you profusely about your outcome, but I was shocked that I was shocked that was given, man. I got to be honest, I couldn't believe it. I didn't think it'd be given at the time. I understood Ian Wright's point, saying that if it's any other area of the pitch, it would have been a free kick, and he's right. But we talk about VAR, which don't talk about a lot anyway. But it's brought in obviously for clear and obvious, which that was not clear and obvious, by the way. And he got a yellow card, Dumfries.
Oh well. thing is,
You
right?
honestly think that's a penalty? No, I'm being deadly serious.
I think I've got Kane bias in me, all right? Fairs, whatever, that's me. But I'm putting it here. How much bad luck and stuff against England have we had? You know what? It's our time to collect our dues. And I think in that sense, I'm having it because you know what? Who cares? It was a penalty. We needed it. It was a good time to score a penalty to get back in the game. Harry Kane took it. It was a great penalty, may I add. So yeah, for me, I think we've always had a bit of hardship with the refs in terms of things not going our way when it should have gone our way. May I bring up that was it Chiellini in the final with Saka?
Yeah.
Absolutely like pulling his shirt back.
We got him in a headlock, yeah, I remember, yeah.
Exactly. So for me, you know what? Sometimes football can be harsh and sometimes it can be great. So you know what? Yes, okay, it was very harsh. He did
say that again, Hollie, sorry?
It was very harsh,
okay,
but I'm also sat here thinking, I don't care because we're in the final and they're not. Boom, done, dusted.
Well, Hollie, to be a little bit fair, it was 1-1 at the time. So you know, I know you're getting excited, and you know we can talk in the aftermath thing. But at the time, you was probably just glad that we got it back to 1-1. Is that right to say that?
Yeah.
You sure, Hollie? Is that right?
I was relieved because, like I said earlier, the fact that we conceded so early on, I was like, if they score another, okay, I've seen us come back from 1.
Yeah.
Will I see us come back to 2? So I was very glad that we kind of got that. But Albert, I'm going to spin it to you quickly because I know that you've mentioned obviously Trippier. My mum used to call him Trip, sorry. So I know we got very frustrated with him. And there's a man on the other side as well with Walker. And with we've spoken about it all tournament in terms of the big guns kind of not really showing their kind of their level of performance they can kind of do. Now, I kind of get it, Trippier being on his side that isn't normally his side, but there were so many times it was offside with not thinking.
It's insane. Yeah.
I don't like what did you make of it? Is it big? Do you think now that obviously Shaw came on in that game, I mean, does he play him in the final? I know we had this chat last time going into the semi-final, but how do you kind of see it?
I mentioned it before, Luke Shaw's missed a lot of football, man. Like he's not played since February. He got his little cameo minutes against Switzerland, which was good. I didn't think he would start yesterday, and I just knew that because that's how Gareth thinks, and he has a set in his mind who he's going to play, and it literally will be one change or a little tweak here and there. But Gareth's quite set in what he does, so I didn't expect Luke Shaw to start yesterday, and he didn't. With Walker, Roy Keys has some quite strong things to say about him over the years, but I know you talk about his pace, but for me, this tournament, I don't know Dave's thoughts as well. For someone that's quite experienced, and kind of a stalwart of the England side, he really, really makes my blood boil sometimes to watch him play. Not just from a defensive point of view, but just from an offensive point of view. Like we recycle the ball, I would say, in our own half a lot for no reason. And I can see why you bring on the likes of maybe when an Eze might come on or a Palmer, because they're forward-thinking players. You've got to progress that ball forward either a little bit quicker, or as I hear a word that's often said many, many times, is be brave. And they're going to have to be like that a little bit on Sunday because you can't soak it up against them because Spain are a technically brilliant side. But yeah, Hollie, it drove me mad. I mean, like I said, we go back to the kind of debate before the tournament, not bringing many left-sided players in terms of defensive unit. We know obviously Gomez and the likes of Konza can play on the left-hand side, but they're not left-footed players. Trent would work brilliant in this system, but you know he's not going to play Walker at left back and then probably play Trent at right back. So, which I think could work personally, but we are in the final, so it might be a little bit late to experiment with Gareth Southgate. You never know, but I don't think it'll happen. But like I said, the first half was really good, man. There's some really good patterns of play, but it wouldn't be England if the second half wasn't the way it went. And sort of coming to Dave, really, I kind of expected it, I'm going to be honest. Because there was England, for me, there was a bit of a 20-minute period where it's like they didn't really have any initiative with the ball, or we weren't really sort of, like you said, Koeman made a couple of changes. So Foden didn't really get a kick from what I could see. Mainu was obviously quite solid in there as well, but what did you make of the sort of the first 20 minutes, second half, Dave? Typical England, or a bit more credit to Holland? A bit more credit to Holland, just like.
Yeah, let's give some credit to Ronald Koeman. I mean, he made a couple of tweaks. Reinders became more visible.
Yeah.
Jurdy Scouten became more visible. I think he's a really good player. He's a nice player. You know, you can imagine Premier League teams looking at him. They just had time to gather themselves at half time and come out with more of a concerted effort.
Yeah.
And say, right, we're not going to put up with this. England have clearly been the better team in the first half. And going back to the penalty, if I was Dutch, I'd be volcanic.
Ooh, yeah.
But I'm not. I'm English. And, I'm very, very proudly English. And, so many occasions down the years where it's gone the other way.
Yes.
And, life, I kind of tend to feel sometimes, maybe it's calm or whatever, but, these things even out. And, I mean, the thing is, Harry let the referee know that he'd been
foul
caught and all this.
Yeah.
Great penalty. I mean, the thing is, maybe, Head says it wasn't a penalty, but this big old English heart that resides just here in my chest beats massively to say, yeah, that was a penalty, right? And the thing was, it was justification of the way the game was going, because England were the better side and deserved to be at least, in parity with the Dutch. I mean, after half time, I'd like to say, so many times, you're in a great frame, the ball's fizzing about, you're playing well, you're pouring forward, playing in the way that England played last night, and everybody's going, wow, how good is this?
Yeah.
And then you get half time, and it's really, really difficult to sort of get it going again. It's like a frustration, And then I thought, if you go into the second half, certainly the first 20 minutes, I thought the likes of, Mark Gurhey, who has been our most consistent player throughout the tournament, been outstanding. Mark Gurhey, I've always thought he was a really good player. He made one great sort of fall over with his body.
I saw that,
Begor's getting it. I mean, it was really well. Jordan Pickford, made the great save from the free kick that came in that could really have flown anywhere.
Yeah.
And they didn't allow the Dutch to take advantage of their, period of ascendancy.
Yeah.
And they managed to kind of just annoy the Dutch. And then it set the platform for then what went on later on. I mean, the thing is, what does irritate me is this business. And we're talking about Kyle. I mean, I would have taken Tyreek Mitchell, definitely.
Yeah.
Tyreek Mitchell would have been in my squad. People say, oh, you can't take more than 5 Palace players. Well, no, the lad's a natural left back. He's a really good player.
Exactly.
I would have taken Tyreek Mitchell. If you're going to take young Adam Wharton, who's going to be a hell of a player, and he's kind of there on a sort of a learning process.
Yeah.
And you're going to take, Cobby's just, rising through the stars, isn't he? You know what I mean? You're going to take these kids. Why not take Tyreek Mitchell? He'd offer balance, be good. A fit Luke Shaw, Shaw, you're taking Luke Shaw. As Albert rightly says, Luke's not played much football. He's been injured. He's been really unlucky. I mean, the lad's had, several bad injuries. And I remember him breaking his leg a few years ago, what I mean? And whatever. So a fit Luke Shaw, I think, would give us that balance that we crave. Kyle Walker. And what I was going to say is, so often we go wide down the line. And I sit here as an old-fashioned guy who likes old-fashioned ways. Take him on, push him back, get to the bar. Yeah. The thing is, these days, all these guys who play wide, Bakaya does it, Jude does it when he goes out. They all want to come inside onto their better foot. Go on the outside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I look at, and it's this business. What England tend to do a lot, especially in a lot of these qualifying games and stuff that they play at Wembley, they go down the line. You think you're going to whip across in or beat a man and put a ball in, and they go, and then they just play it meekly back. And it drives you bonkers.
Yeah, it does.
And Kyle Walker, I think Kyle Walker is the best recovering defender I've ever seen in my life. Now, Kyle Walker, I mean, the tackle on Gakpo last night,
brilliant. Yeah,
was out of this world, right? And I kind of look at Kyle Walker and I think, God, mate, you're great with your pace going that way. Could you not use your pace to go the other way in the offensive direction? Kieran Trippier. Kieran Trippier is doing a really thankless task. Whatever he does, he's going to get pelters. He has to come back on his right foot. You know what I mean? It's a really difficult thing. personally, I'd rather it be Kieran Trippier, given his experience from 2018, and 2020, 21, whatever it was, than say Joe Gomez. But I just look at it and think it's kind of crying out for a Tyreek Mitchell or somebody like that, even a Lewis Hall, somebody like that, somebody of a natural left side. That it wouldn't have been, had Luke Shaw been fit, it wouldn't have even been a conversation piece. But I just think the balance isn't quite right. But here they are against, all logic, all reality. The little tinkers are in this final, and they might just burrow under the skin of the Spanish and like a little tick annoy them. And I just think, the thing is, I think they're into territory now where they won't be humiliated. If they get beat on Sunday night, people say been beaten by a brilliant team. The thing is, it's got that feeling to me, the Spanish team, and particularly the story about surrounding Lamine Yamal of like Argentina when Messi was a kid, or Portugal when Ronaldo was a kid. We're at the sort of the dawn of this great career. He's a wonderful footballer. Bless him. He's 16. He smiled the other night after he scored the goal. And I was admiring his braces and thinking, God, he hasn't even finished his GCSEs yet. He's a fantastic player. Nico Williams, the other side, is equally, exciting. And that's where the danger will come on Sunday night, because our lads are going to have Nico Williams buccaneering down one side, Lamine coming the other side. And dealing with that, I think, is the crux of the game. But then again, if England get hold in midfield and somehow manage to dominate Rodri, which is a hell of a job in itself,
and Fabian Ruiz, he's been brilliant.
Fabian Ruiz has been outstanding. Then if England win one of those areas, they're at least kind of blocking off an avenue for Spain. But England just, fascinating. I can't get my head round him.
You're still in disbelief, Dave. It's all right, mate. You're still in disbelief.
Albert, that is the best way to describe it. It's disbelief, because, and again, I go back to this game in 2016 where we were truly abject. I'm not one for anger after football matches, that often. But that night I was like, what an embarrassment. To lose. No, Iceland's a fantastic, beautiful country. The people are amazing there, right? Nothing against them, but in football heritage terms, we really should be beating Iceland. So to be where we are now, the thing is, if we lose on Sunday night, the agendas will all come out again and all that business. Personally, I think whatever happens on Sunday night, Gareth walks. He'll go on his own terms, and I think he'll say, you know what, I've had 8 years. I think Gareth Southgate is that socially aware that he'll say, yeah, I've done as much as I can do. Time for somebody else to have a go now. Unlike Joe Biden, who won't step aside, Gareth, I think, will step aside.
That's another conversation.
It is. Let's not go to that one. but you know what I mean? I just think if he was to win it, boy, would he destroy so many narratives that have gone around. And a lot of the narratives around England in this tournament have been, to my way, disproportionate, over-exaggerated. It's like, I just think it's the FIFA generation. They just want attacking football all the time. I've been of my vintage.
Dave, I blame Hollie for that personally. That's just my.
If I've offended any FIFA players out there, am I sorry? I don't know, really.
No, you're not.
But the thing is, if I look at let me just be parochial and talk about my club. In 1979, we won the European Cup in Munich, beating Malmo. In 1980, we won the European Cup by beating Hamburg in Madrid. In 2022, we beat Huddersfield Town at Wembley to be promoted back to the Premier League. 3 of the dullest, worst football matches I've ever seen in my life. 3 pretty rank and ordinary Nottingham Forest performances. 3 of the greatest moments of glory I've ever seen. Right? And England, I sort of, all the others, the other 20 odd, have they got to the final? Why are we, Germany, we played all this great football. Austria, Georgia, Turkey were terrific to watch.
Yeah, they were.
They're all sitting watching at home, and this ragtaggle bunch over here are in the final. It's almost like they're gate crashing the party. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you something. They're going to be overwhelming favourites, Spain. So England will be huge underdogs, right? And they're probably going to be written off. I can't see any. Most of the pundits will say England will put up a decent fight, but they'll be outclassed, right? But funny things happen in life. Really funny things happen in life. And it's just Spain are like, Spain would have known about France. They would have known about Germany in the previous round. They would have known about Italy in the group stage. They eventually found out about Georgia having gone a goal down, right? And it took them a while.
Yeah.
But can Spain, for certain, hand on heart, say we know everything about England? Because I don't think they can. Because England haven't shown the full array. I mean, I've been watching their inside the camp videos, right, where they're all having a laugh and a joke and that, you know what I mean? And I had to laugh. They were all playing cricket after the game against Slovenia, and all these people going, they should all be sitting there. They should be smiling, should be banned from the England camp. You know what I mean? No smiling, no happiness. They should all be there doing detention and being really somber. And like, do me a favour. When you've had a defeat, go and have a good laugh, get your chuckle muscle working. Honestly, it's the best way to go. So they are just, they're ours, and I love them, but they're a strange bunch, And the good thing is, actually, in the the breadth of the squad, pretty much everybody, I think, apart from Lewis Dunk and Adam Wharton and the other goalkeepers, Joe Gomez, if you like, apart from those lads who seem to be being really good squad members and helping everybody out, pretty much everybody else has had a snifter. Pretty much everybody else has come on and done something. Jared Bowen in the first game's had a go. Ollie did what Ollie did last night. Cole Palmer,
it's a good point. Good point.
Anthony Gunn's had a go. So come Sunday night, if they get the call, Ivan Toney's had, he's had his moment, right? If the call comes from Gareth to the bench on Sunday night, the vast majority of them are not being thrown into the biggest game in their lives, the biggest game this country's had for 3 years, right? They're not being thrown in completely cold. So I think they're all being they're in the game. They've been activated into the situation. So, it wouldn't surprise me if they get beat, but equally it wouldn't surprise me if they kind of go and do the unthinkable. And if they do the unthinkable, then how wonderful. I mean, I remember when our girls won a couple of years ago, how amazing and brilliant that was. But if our lads do it on, and the thing is, the girls have gone and done it, so the lads have got to live up to that now.
Yes.
So if I was in that dressing, if I was Gareth in that dressing room on Sunday night, I said, "Tell you what, lads, the girls, Leah and the girls, showed you how to do it. Come on, time to catch up now." You know what I mean? So I think they're in a really good position, because I don't think many people are going to see them as winners. And Spain, they might think we've come through the harder half of the draw. It should be ours to lose. Well, odd things. France thought that 2016, and Portugal thought it, and they were host nations as well. So you just don't know, honestly, and that is beautiful, not knowing.
They've well said. That's a better monologue than Sir Keir Starmer last week.
Well, Albert, mate, Hollie's learning now. Goodies. Why use 2 words when there are several million available to you? You know what I mean?
I've just sit here all night, man. I'm loving it.
That's why I said 7 o'clock, Hollie, for the show. Oh, I love Dave. I had the pleasure of meeting Dave a few weeks ago. It's a beautiful meeting. But now, Dave, Hollie, so coming to you. Sorry, Hollie, coming to you, Hollie. Obviously, we was messaging during the game, and you was sort of trying to single out one particular player, which I was going to throttle you personally, because I was with you in the sense that England had a bit of a strange 20 minutes where I won't say Holland were dominating. They made a couple of tactical tweaks and they got a bit more on the ball, but Pickford made that one save I can remember. But it was, for me, it was definitely crying out for a change. I know Gareth Southgate talks about patience, but I think by the run out, we're talking about a semi-final. I'm thinking you've got a bench there. You've got to make a couple of changes, and Hollie did on 79 minutes. I think he took off Foden, Harry Kane, he put on Ollie Watkins, and obviously Mr. Cold Palmer. Were they the changes you wanted, and were they the ones you wanted a lot sooner?
Yes, I'm fed up of waiting so bloody long for them. But then
And there
I
was
sit
the
there
other
and
change,
think,
Holly, as well. You said take off. Is it Rice?
the Foden one, the Foden.
Right,
Oh
okay.
yeah, well, and Rice. Right, I think Rice is a little bit shattered. Bless him. He was getting a bit ragged in the middle of the park. But again, that might be my bias. Who knows? But
I think it is just a cut-in. Sorry, go on, Holly. Go on.
no worries. I got to level it out a little bit, you know. But with Foden, I was very surprised that he came off, and he looked a bit annoyed that he came off as well, especially of how bright he looked. I was sat there thinking, out of everyone, you've taken the man off that actually looks like himself tonight. But you know, as it
I
is,
thought
we
he was
sit there.
quite Holly though. I thought you got in the
You
second
reckon?
half. Yeah. I think they made that change, Holland, because I was shocked they gave him the room in the first half.
No,
Really surprised. But go on, Holly, go on.
No, it's like I say, he's just really bright. But as me, I'm overreactionary
Yes, you
when I
are.
see
Yes,
things happen
yes.
that I don't agree with. But yeah, if it was the thing is, if he brought on the sub sooner, would we all be sitting here saying, "Oh, Ollie Watkins would have scored earlier on. We would have been less stressed." Blah blah blah. But you know what? The timing worked very nicely because it was like a minute, wasn't it? In like extra, was it the 90th minute? Wasn't it? Or right towards the end?
Remember, we had a disallowed goal before that, which we was
That
going
is
to
also
lose our
true.
minds. Yeah.
There we go. I've gone straight past that and just gone straight to Ollie Watkins because my word, it was a bloody strike. It was. I text my mum. Mum was like, "I didn't think he could swivel like that in the back the bottom corner." I was like, "That's because we've been watching Harry Kane for a while, Mum. That's why."
Well, I'm glad, Holly, I'm glad you said that because I was going to say that anyway. But go on.
No, yeah, I am getting to the point now, and maybe with you as well, Dave. Like, as you know, I love Harry Kane.
Yes, we
But
know that.
he's definitely carrying something because he just hasn't looked himself all tournament. I say this though, I watched Harry Kane play deep at Spurs, so I kind of know what to kind of expect. But what a strike from Ollie Watkins, Dave. And
Oh, Jesus
again,
Christ.
like I know you mentioned earlier in terms of players coming on and having their moment, Ollie Watkins definitely took his moment last night, didn't he?
He did. That moment will live in perpetuity in his mind and the minds of everybody who follows the England football team and loves, the England football team. It'll be, back in the day, it was Gazza's goal at Wembley against Scotland, or David Platt's late winner against Belgium in 1990, or, Michael Owen's goal in 1998. These are memories that will be replayed many, many times. I mean, it was a wonderful goal. It was out of character, which had gone, to that which had gone in the sort of 20 minutes leading up to it. Because, as we've all said, England were stifled, I think is probably the better word. I know Phil was unhappy to come off. That's great. If you're taking a lad off and he doesn't want to come off, that's a lad who wants to play football and play for you. And Phil was superb last night. I mean, Phil's one of the most graceful, balletic footballers I've ever seen. He glides across the field. A beautiful footballer, like quite a lot of our lads are these days. You know what I mean? But I just felt that while he had the touch to set up Walker to pull the ball back for Bukayo to stick the ball in for the goal that was disallowed, just felt he was less of a presence in the second half than he'd been in the first half. And he'd been such a presence in the first half that he was the most visible player in the whole game. And you can imagine Ronald Koeman, tough old boot that he is, was in that dressing room going, "We need to stop this kid from Stockport, and we need to stop him now." So that was priority number one for the Dutch, and they, to their credit, they went and dealt with it. What I'd be saying is, like, if Phil is taking all the attention away, can not Jude, Cobby, whoever else go and fill those gaps? Because if there are the Dutch, if Riders and Scouten and whoever else concentrating on stopping Phil Foden, it does leave gaps because you move about, it's moving the chess pieces. But the goal itself, I mean, I had to laugh. On the BBC highlights, Guy Mowbray was commentating, and Danny Murphy was doing. He was like, they call him the colour analyst in America, and Danny was like summarising. And a bit like me, he was going on for ages, and then Guy Mowbray had to cut in and say, and that's a really good ball from Cole Palmer into Ollie Watkins, and that's wonderful. Yeah, it was the precision of the whole thing.
Yeah,
I mean, truth is, it was instinct. He thought, turn, have a crack.
Oh, what a strike!
If man. It was the audacity of it, and to the millimeter precision, I kind of fantasized that he went, oh, there's Stefan de Vrij. His legs are open by this small amount. I can get the ball through it. Bert Verbruggen's on his line. He's left me about 3 inches to thread this ball bearing, because these silver balls on football matches, and he just it was hit with such precision and timing.
Yeah,
it was a wonderful goal. It was a goal that deserved to win a match, kind of coming out of nowhere. And if you can do that coming out of a slightly fallow period in the game where you're not necessarily on the front foot, it bodes well. It was wonderful. I mean, and then obviously a young man in the throes of ecstasy didn't really quite know what to do with himself, with have 80,000 people in that stadium watching him. Come over here, lads. Hey, what have you done? I mean, Jude had who else? Obviously, but Ollie Watkins, it was great that he went and involved the other lads. Like Lewis Duncan, Aaron Ramsdale, and all the lads, and that's great. The spirit seems fantastic. Nobody's sulking. I mean, you take the other night, right? Trent didn't start. Trent could have easily gone, I'm not going to play. Well, he won't pick me from start. Why should I bother? And I know I've had lads play like that, be like that in teams I've picked, right? Sorry, I can only pick 11. Why don't you pick me? And then they moan and they sulk. And, it's kind of, there's a bit of human nature. Trent the other night went, you want me to go on and do your job, take your penalty? I'll do that for you, Gaffer. Fantastic. Cole Palmer came on and took a penalty. I mean, without going back to the penalty shootout, which I think it's on a par. It's my joint best ever penalty shootout I've ever seen. The other one being Forest against Sheffield United in a playoff semi-final 2 years ago, when Brice Samba was the first goalkeeper, along with our goalkeeping coach Danny Alcock, who's originally from this village I live in. I think were the first people ever to write opponents' names and where they were going to put their penalty on a water bottle. Forest were the first team ever to do it right. But that penalty shootout the other night was the first time I thought, it's in the bag, this. For 6 reasons. The 5 that took them, one of whom I don't think even knew where the ball was, right, which is incredible. How he found his way back to the bus with that eyesight, but he still stuck it in the back of there. Amazing, Ivan Toney, right? Whatever you think about Ivan Toney, and he can be a divisive figure, certainly amongst the Forest fans. That was an incredible moment. But let's give some, kudos to Jordan Pickford, because he's not the biggest keeper in the world, but he's got that sort of buzzy thing, he's kind of ADHD, isn't he? You know what I mean? And you just think he's going to save it. And they're all finding enough to get through the rounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In terms of entertainment, they really, in a way, there should be other teams there. But if those other teams want to play well and get knocked out, that's their lookout. You know what I mean? So I think we're in a great position going into this match. But by the same token, if you look at the other side of the field and the amazing talent that the Spanish team's got in their ranks, from Unai Simon all the way, right through to the front guys. I mean, the only thing is Morata fit? Because Morata was attacked by the paparazzi.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. I did see that. It's mad, crazy.
So if Morata's not fit, that's they lose their captain, and what Morata does, and great credit to him. He's the kind of guy who's going unseen while Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams are doing their stuff. It's almost like he's the captain. In a way, he's a little bit Harry Kane-like, because I don't think Morata's at his best. Like, Harry isn't quite at his best. I said that Harry Kane's got 3 goals. I think Morata might have 1 goal. Yeah. But these guys are almost kind of taking one for the team. And if they were to lose Morata, I don't know what they would do. Danny Olmo as well needs some credit as well. He's been fantastic.
Beautiful footballer. Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's whichever way you look, it's a fascinating game of football. I mean, let's say if I was a neutral, if I was Scottish, I'd want Spain to win just because I'm Scottish, right? But if I was from another country, I'd be thinking, you got to fancy Spain really because of the evidence that's been provided in the 6 games previous. Here's the portfolio on Spain. It's all fairly straightforward and easy to read. What about this lot over here? Where's the case of the defence? Well, we know we're cobbling bits together, and we've got this goal from Jude over here, and this header from Jude after Bakayo's cross was bounced up in the air, and then Harry did this against them, and it's a bit piecemeal, you know. But I think that's what makes England really dangerous, you know, because they haven't got any. Spain have been at their best. They've kind of had to come through that half of the draw.
Yeah, tough.
Our lot. Let's not decry him. I've heard people say he's an average man because he's been on the easy side of the door. Like, you know, fair enough. But you've still got to beat teams to get where you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just somebody garnering attention on TalkSport. Bless him. You know. So let's not go there.
No.
So give the guy some credit. Do you know what I mean? So it's just got.
We're talking of credit. Hollie, let me come to you actually. We've got 50 minutes in. Before I come to you, I have to do the usual thing. I always just get excited already. If you don't know what to do by now, people, for Albert JT and Hollie's Hotspurs, this is what you should do. And there you have it, Hollie's favorite part of our Euro 2024 collaboration, the little music intro into subscribe to Albert JTV and Hollie's Hotspurs, and follow our esteemed guest Dave Astbury, Lord Dave Astbury, on his Instagram, which is on the bottom of the screen. But Hollie, just I want to speak about Gareth Southgate actually, because Dave's made some great points. A lot's been said about his tenure as England manager. This is his fourth tournament now. I said to you quite openly, I said I thought 3 tournaments was enough personally, and he looked like, for me, that he was going to walk after Qatar. The FA love him and wanted to stay. I see a different side to him. I've got to be honest. This tournament, I think some of the criticism towards the England players, I think they really took it personally. I think Gareth looks like somebody, and I think he kind of said it in the sort of the post-match. He's a human being, isn't it? It's gonna affect you, man. And the criticism that's come, I think, particularly this tournament, I think you can see it for the first time in the time he's been there. It did affect him a little bit, and it, of course it would do. So, Ali, what's your sort of thoughts on sort of Gareth Southgate?
I think I'm still under the impression, and I think Dave kind of hit on the head in the sense that whatever happens, he's probably going to go at the end of this tournament. I think it's probably the right time. It'd be amazing if he left, obviously, with a trophy under his belt. That would be amazing, because he has been a great servant. Like I said, that's 2 finals in a row. And as a Spurs fan, I know how that feels to not come away with a trophy. So yeah, it
1991, Hollie. 1991, Hollie.
It's beautiful. Sorry to the Hollie's Hotspurs part of the collaboration, but
I was alive in 2008, so I can kind of take the Carling Cup. But going back to England, so I do this. I divert off of England. I think I am. Not that I'm getting fed up. I just think I get very irritated. I don't have a lot of patience, and if he is to come away with a trophy at the end of all of this, then it was worth it. But if obviously that doesn't happen, and we don't get to walk away with a trophy, then yeah, I think it's the right time for him to maybe step away. And be like, you've been a great manager in a sense that's got us to places. We just needed that final person to kind of get us over the line. And I think it'd be a great time for him to kind of hand over the baton to someone else to say.
Before I come today to finish up, Hollie, come back to you quickly. Obviously, a big game on Sunday, another final to look forward to. I do love tournament football, people, as I like to say. I think it's going to be a good final, actually, just because of the way Spain play. And England are going to have to come at this a very different angle, and I think that probably is maybe a good thing with Gareth, even with the talented players that we've got, because we won't see a lot of the ball in terms of us having a lot of possession. I think it's going to come down to the fact of what we do when we actually have it and how brave they're prepared to be, because listen, it'd be great to have 60-70% possession of the ball, but not really when you're in your own half. It doesn't. You're not gonna beat teams the caliber of Spain by doing that. So Gareth has got some thinking to do, man. I don't expect him to do many tactical changes. But what's your sort of thoughts ahead of the big game? Oh God, big game Sunday. Sorry, go on. How do you take that? Sorry, Hollie, go on. Come in. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I'm going to sit here and say I'm going to expect the same I've seen all tournament. He's going to stick with the same people, the same personnel he's played. He's going to make those late kind of changes that we always see. And that is just Gareth. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to change it up for the final, because we said that in the opening stages where we said this is boring. Like, he needs to change something. So he's not going to change it. I think for me, like you said, Albert, in terms of the way the game goes, we're not going to have a lot of possession. Just because I'm sitting here now, it probably won't be the case. But Spain are very good on the ball. We just need to be on our A game and maybe close down the players a little bit better, because my word, I am fed up of giving players so much space. If we give players like Lamine Yamal space, they will hurt us. But how about you, Dave? Are you kind of in the same kind of sense of that we need to be on our A game in terms of maybe close down players a bit more, or do you think we just need to carry on playing the way we're going? Because if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It isn't broke, Hollie. I'd agree with you. We've got to the finals. I wouldn't say it's not broke. It could function slightly better.
Mm-hmm.
There are some gears that we can explore that we haven't gone to yet, I think. But tournament football is about getting better with each round. And while Spain just arrived at this fantastic level and have maintained that fantastic plateau for the most part, right? England are kind of gathering momentum, right? And they're gathering. They're like the snowball down the mountainside, and there's more adding to it. If I was Gareth Southgate, I'd get them all to sit down and watch the quarterfinal against Germany, because in that game, the Germans and actually when old Fulkrug came on, I thought for a while. I mean, the goal that Marino scored, I love that goal. If you see him in midair, it's Michael Jordan at his finest. How he got up to stick that. The ball's coming like a bullet, and Marino's got up and he sort of hovered in the air to stick it in the back. And it's an incredible goal, that in a tournament. Actually, you've not had massively high scoring matches, but we've had some hellishly good goals. But if I was Gareth, right, we sit down and we look at what Germany did to make Spain not the dominant side. Towards the end of that game, I thought once Wirtz equalised, I thought, home advantage. The Germans are going to go and win this. I mean, you have to credit Spain to be a little bit under the cosh for the first time in the tournament. They went and dealt with it with an unbelievable winner. Again, scored really, really late. So there's another similarity between these two teams in the final. But Germany, I think, are the only team thus far in the tournament. France early on, but I looked at France and thought, this is looking like the end of a cycle for a lot of this squad, as was the case with Belgium. I felt, sort of eras of a team kind of coming towards its end, if you like. It was almost like Deschamps got a huge credit in the bank for what he's done, but to me, it looked like he was running out of road. Similarly with Belgium, you know what I mean? And well, I would say Portugal, but that's just Ronaldo, isn't it? You know what I mean? So it's just, that is the game I'd pinpoint, because the Germans did have them. They made them think. Spain had just come out and had been sort of beautiful and effortlessly instinctive, and it had all been, off the cuff. Let's give it to Lamine. Let's give it to Nico. Let's do whatever. They're going to have Carvajal coming back, who's a gritty serial winner. It'd be good to have him. Cucurella's been excellent.
Yeah,
right?
good shout. He's been really good. Yeah.
I mean, the other night, I'm glad the BBC said the other night why every time Cucurella got the ball, he was getting booed. It was because of the handball in the game against the Germans. But go and look at that Germany game. What was it about Musiala and Cruz and Wirtz and Andrick and whoever else in that side that made Spain look edgy for a bit? And if England could somehow, harvest that and replicate it on Sunday night, I mean, the thing is, a lot of the time England have had to play low block teams. I mean, I actually think the Dutch, in a way, helped England the other night. There's a great point made. Cabe Solikol on Sky Sports made a point today that I thought when I watched the game last night. It was the first game in the tournament I watched last night where it, to all intents and purposes, it resembled a Premier League game.
Yeah.
And I think because on each side, there were so many people who were familiar, with each other as opponents, and it was played like a Premier League game. Yeah, it's slowed down a little bit to a certain extent because, people, it's high pressure and you don't want to give the ball away, you don't want to make a mistake. But certainly the first half was like watching a Premier League game, right? Where a lot of these games are played at a different tempo. So, maybe Spain playing at the pace they play in terms of pinging the ball about and they're breaking, their willingness to go forward. If England are clever enough and good enough, and we still don't really know. We know Spain are good enough to exploit any weaknesses England have got. England have got to show us that if they can find a weakness in Spain, and I'm sure they'll be working on stuff, Gareth and Steve Holland and the rest of the guys. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank is a key man in that camp. Let's give Jimmy some flowers as well. If England can show us that, hang on, we can make Spain go the other way, then we're in with a chance. And I think that to me, deal with the two wingers. So there's going to be a lot on whoever's playing sort of right back or right side of that three at the back, or the wing backs. I think the worry for me is our wing backs are going to get forced back a little bit by Williams and Yamal. But then if, say, in midfield, Declan Rice and Cobby and whoever else is going to play, and I agree, I don't think there'll be. I actually think the same 11 that played last night that started will start again. And then if Luke Shaw is to enter the fray, he'll come on just after half time. And then it's up to Gareth what he does thereafter. And he'll either go down as the brave guy who got it right, which he did last night, or he'll be like, no, he reacted too late, like he was against Italy. The more hate he's had sent his way, the more I kind of want to protect him, because I kind of think to myself, I wouldn't like that said about me. I wouldn't like that level of, manufactured outrage against me. If he was like, say, making ridiculous. I mean, I look back at Don Revie, awful. Graham Taylor, awful. Bobby Robson became Sir Bobby Robson off one semi-final. Terry Venables is venerated off one semi-final. Glenn Hoddle was saying awful things about poor disabled folks, like silly boy. Kevin Keegan came and went. Fabio Capello was just like some, prison warder, just awful. Steve McLaren, it's a bit wet. I'm going to put a brolly on. The thing is, my context is that the guys that have preceded Gareth Southgate have done nothing like.
It's a fair, more than fair point.
Do you know what I'm saying? I understand that people find him a bit beige as a human being and all that. They want controversy. Well, we had Sam Allardyce a few years ago, and look how that turned out.
Yeah, Sven had an interesting time as England manager. Yeah,
he did. So it's what I desperately want, and I would love to see happen, is for him to say, right, there's your trophy, Sunday night. Next man up, you have a go, and leave big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Do I think that'll happen? Head says, not so sure. This whole thing says, yeah, England are going to win. I hope they do. It'd be amazing for this country.
Fantastic. Well said, Dave. And there we have it, people. We are over and out for show number 7. I got it right now. I had to count in my head only, but we definitely have a show number 8. And it's going to be, hopefully it'll be a good one to talk about. But people, smash the like button for Albert JTV and Hollie's Hotspurs. Subscribe to both channels. And of course, let me not forget, Hollie, I should not forget my duty to say, this will also go out on the audio. So you hear it on Spotify and also on the Apple downloads. And people, big up and big thank you to Dave for joining me and Hollie for the match review. Dave, where can the people find you?
Oh, everywhere, Albert. I just float around the ether. Actually, if you want to find me, having just turned 60, come and look in Pure Gym in Detoxes, because that's where I'm working. I've just qualified as a personal trainer, Yeah, which as we spoke about a few weeks ago. I mean, I truth be told, I've had a really tough year, family-wise. It's been, a couple of lost mum and dad, which has been tough. Just qualified as a personal trainer. I do bits on social media. I don't do Twitter or X or whatever it's called, because I just find it really hostile. But I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and can I just say it's been lovely to talk to you too. And a big hello to everybody out there who's listening and looking in. And let's hope come, I don't know, 10:30, 11 o'clock Sunday night, we've all got big grins on our faces, because that would be amazing.
No, thank you, Dave, for having us. And obviously, Hollie,
My
we've got
pleasure.
one more. We've got one more show to go, Hollie.
Lovely.
One more.
Come on,
Jubbly.
England.
Make sure, Hollie, you go and clean the bar and do get all the nooks and crannies. You got to sort it out properly. It's got to be it's the big one. It's the big one.
The big one.
Right. The people, we're going to be over and out for a match review. Netherlands 1, England 2. England in the final. Bring on
Get in.
España. See you soon, people.
Oi.